Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of The Right Stuff, a Blood Bowl podcast, brought to you by Empire Games, coming out of sometimes lovely, always inflicting damage, Anderson, South Carolina. Yannie here with Nathan, and we've got a whole game to talk about.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite part of the season, when I get to use the word penultimate. This is the penultimate episode. So yeah, we have one game to cover, which basically sets the stage for the finals. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, that's it for this season of the podcast. Fortunately, we have the Secret League stuff to keep us busy. Yeah. For those of us who don't remain in the regular league.
Yeah, maybe we could do like a winner interview at the end, depending on how talkative the champion is feeling.
Yeah.
I know a certain person would be very interested in coming on and talking.
Yeah, again.
But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Goblin Mayhem too, since that happened this past weekend.
Yep, and I would love to hear your perspective on it.
It's pretty interesting. So yeah, we got a game to talk about, but your perspective is more here because you watched the first half of this game.
Yeah, right. And then I had to, what's the New York Times reporter, the I've seen enough guy. You know what I'm talking about?
You're just calling it?
Yeah. I forget. I think his name is also Nathan, but I forget his last name. But yeah, so the Oops Mostly Snotlings played Rag and Bone. That game, as of this recording, happened the previous night. So depending on when you're listening to this, it may be a couple of days. But yeah, the first half of this game, I actually think Sean got off light. I've seen some worse damage from Snotlings dealt out in a shorter amount of time. So I'm going to give it a pause right here for all the sirens. All right, now that the ambulance sirens are out of the way, I can finally get on with the podcast here. So yeah, I think Sean got off a little light in the first half, but it was still kind of in debacle territory. He completely forgot about the fungus flinga, and so he set his line up like in Civil War regiment style, just rows of dudes, and artillery did what you would expect it to do in that situation. Like turn one, the flinga throws a bomb at like 4 people. It's accurate. It knocks down 2 of them. It casualties a ghoul, which is bad. Like, I actually think the ghouls are very important in this matchup for your offense because you need the speed, and the dodge is actually pretty useful. So that sucked right there for him. I knew that was going to be bad. Chase also like KOs a zombie right off. So Sean's like playing defense with 9 there. It's like turn 2 or 3. I think Morg didn't really do anything the first couple of turns, but he did casualty a mummy, and at that point, I think the game, the balance of the game was like drastically tilted in favor of Chase, as the mummy did not regenerate and got a strength down. So the mummy was just out of the season at that point. So even if Sean somehow manages to win the game from this position, he's just like, he's not going to have a mummy against the dwarves where he really wants it, right? So the drive just kind of continues along this way. Sean is peeling off Snotlings. Chase rolled low on Riot as rookies, and so Sean was able to take out like a bunch of Snotlings, and I think cut into the extras. Like, I think there were 3 or 4 Snotlings that were gone during the course of the first half, but I don't think at any point was whoever was carrying the ball, I don't think they were ever touched by an undead player. And Sean had a couple of opportunities to get some damage done to like a troll. I think he even managed to knock down the giant one turn. But the extra players, or like Sean didn't have any extra players, so he couldn't really throw effective fouls against those bigger targets. And I think if he had a chance to get some fouls on them and take 1 or 2 of those guys off the pitch, then the second half was going to be a little bit more favorable for him. So Chase drives down, scores on turn 8, and Sean basically gets some extra attempts, and he gets like Chase just puts 3 Snotlings on the line because he doesn't want the big guys taking blows on that free turn with no crackback. And then on the next drive, Chase loads the line up. It's like the trolls and the giant are all on the line, and then he hangs Varag and Morg back to play kind of like safety just a little bit, and he swarms extra Snotlings in front of him so Sean doesn't have like any kind of good blitz there. And I watched Sean's first turn where he does knock over a troll. I think he even stuns it, and he throws a foul on it. It's kind of like a Hail Mary foul. He was just thrown with a sneaky get and rolled like double ones on that. So like didn't break armor but didn't get caught. And so and this is kind of like where I checked out of the game, because his first couple of hits resulted in nothing permanent to Chase's team. So Chase has got like 11 there, and then I think he like the mummy goes down, like gets knocked over here, and from here I can just see the rest of the game kind of playing out, where Sean just stymied by these Snotlings. It's not like an elf team or like humans with catchers or something like that, where you can set up like a handoff pass or whatever, where you can sneak somebody in the backfield away from all the rest of the Snotlings. Like the undead just have to grind their way through it, and he was desperately outstrengthed thanks to the giant and Morg and Varag, and his guard pieces were getting taken out. And if you look at the tour play dialogue from there, it's just a string of Snotling fouls, an undead player leaving the pitch, and then a string of fouls, an undead player leaving the pitch, a string of fouls, right? So I think Sean was always going to have his work cut out for him in this game, and I like his inducement package of like taking Ivan, because I think Ivan is particularly good there. He's an extra regenerate piece. He's 4 strength. He's got tackle. He's got strip ball. I actually think the strip ball might be the most important thing that he's got for that matchup, because if Morg or Varag ever ends up in isolation, then you can have Ivan pop the ball out of their hand. The weather was pouring rain at the beginning, but it like changed to perfect weather around the half. And Sean was like hoping that Chase would fail to pick up the ball, because Chase went into the game with 0 rerolls. But I was like, man, I like, you just can't plan on your opponent failing a roll, right? Because they're just like, especially if you really want them to fail a roll, they're not going to fail that roll. And so Sean, I think I would have just played like 7 zombies on defense. Right, Chase's whole goal is to try to remove players from the pitch. You just put 7 zombies out there, and even if all of those zombies die, you're only out 280k team value, and you still have your good players for your offensive drive, right? So Chase won the game 1-0, which sets the stage for Jurgen to take on Snotlings once again this season.
Yep.
And I guess we'll cover that in the second half of the episode. We'll kind of do a the big game preview. So there you go.
Yeah, and that is like when I went through, I was playing a game which you'll hear about in the other season, but when I was looking back at the tour play and I saw the mummy went down, like that was to me, it was like, okay, this is like, you are in problem territory, just because that's like, I think the way that Sean like needed something to go is he needed to be able to spike a removal of a strength 5 piece, right, like a troll or Varag or something like that. If he could have gotten one of those out of the way.
If he had, I don't know if he had enough money for Luther. Sean had a lot of players die throughout the course of the season. So he may not have had enough money for Luther. If he had like a Luther, then you're kind of like an interesting territory, because you've got a 5 strength, 2 agility piece who's got hypno gaze, and so you could set up some interesting stuff. And I think Sean had a decent number of skills for damaging snotlings, but he didn't have anything set up to like take down the big guys.
Yeah.
There might have been an argument for like a Wilhelm because he's got claws. Mm-hmm. So you could set up with 4 guard pieces. It's not too bad to set up 2 assists into any of the strength 5 pieces, and then claws gives you a shot at taking him out of the game. Sean was talking about how he was not like enthused to foul trolls because they've got regen, and I don't blame him. But I think like if you can get some of those strength 5 pieces off the table, then it gets much easier to go like there's like just a cascading effect if one of them go down, right? So I think you can play What If forever with a Blood Bowl, especially when you actually have a decent number of options when it comes to your inducement, like what are you going to take. So I don't want to like get circular logic looped about like, oh, he should have done this or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, if the 0 reroll player just doesn't fail rolls, then it's really hard to win that game. Just that simple. So
yeah, and that is going to lead to the very interesting finals. With this, now we are guaranteed a new name on the plaque.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? There's somebody else gets to ascend to the plaque, which is nice. So.
Yeah. As long as we don't have to hear about it forever, that'll be the key. So you want to talk some 7s?
Yeah. What list did you opt to go with?
So my list, I was kind of like not 100% sure if I was going to play like up until even like Friday, and I just kind of decided like on a whim on a last minute that I was going to jump in and play. So my list, I kind of was going a little bit off of the previous one where it was like there was a lot. You had like Amazons, you had like I Play Skaven, so there's like lots of average strength teams with like dodge is kind of what I was expecting. Like I think 7s is a format where your built-in rerolls are so important.
They're very powerful.
You get no additional, like it's very hard to like fit rerolls into your roster. Like maybe you get 1 or 2. Like if you're trying really hard, you can get 2. Like some people, but so I went for a list where I was like, I don't really care about rerolls, and I was like, I just wanted to have a couple strong pieces, and then like solid linemen. So I went with Old World, and I was looking at it, and when I built the list initially, I was like, I can take 7 players and a reroll. Or I could just take like 10 players, which is what I ended up going with. So I just said I had 10 players. I took a Troll Slayer with Strip Ball and Pro, since they have Loner anyway. So it's like having Pro there is nice. Having a piece that can get around.
Slayers roll a lot of dice.
Yeah.
So Pro is way more effective on players who roll more than the average amount of dice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my main reason for it too was like I wanted to be able to like get some good knockdowns with it, and I was expecting to get lots of like that's like the one I'm gonna like be 2-dying with a lot, and the Pro was more important than I thought it would be going into it, just based on the way that the rest of the tournament shook out. But I had Troll Slayer with Strip Ball Pro, I had a Dwarf Blitzer with Tackle, a Human Blitzer with Tackle, I took the Thrower with Leader, and those were like my positionals. And since I had all the extra players, I was like, I'm just going to try to play the foul game. So I had 6 human linemen. I just put Sneaky Git on 2 of them. Because I was like, I'm just going to try to get people on the ground and foul them out.
Yeah.
And just like, I think if you can get to like a numbers advantage, it can be, since you're playing on a smaller field, it's like you can just kind of corner people and get through them. So that was like my roster. I didn't have a reroll because overall rerolls are so expensive, but my thing with it was like I'll just use the reroll on like my leader rerolls for scoring or for like a 2-die with the human, and like I just like won't throw bad blocks with the dwarves.
Yeah.
So that was how I kind of went into it.
Yeah,
for
so
my list.
I took the Norse list that I've played at Goblin Mayhem, in all 3 Goblin Mayhems now, which is a Valkyrie with wrestle, dodge, double berserkers with tackle, and then 4 linemen, and then a 5th lineman who has leader. And that's been kind of like my go-to for these tournaments. This one made me want to swap one of the tackles for guard, because I'm sure you're going to get into it too.
Yeah.
But there were a whole lot of strength
Yeah.
walking around this Goblin Mayhem tournament.
Yeah, I was expecting people to just kind of play like elf teams or like Amazons, or it's like, maybe you have like the Jaguars or something, but like not as heavy, like not like a string. Because I had also considered, I was thinking about just like throwing guard on all the blockers and just like rolling with that.
I don't think you want 0 tackle. The Goblin Mayhem rule set lets you stack players to the gills, so I think the chance of you running into block dodgers is extremely high.
Yeah.
So that's why I like wrestle on the Valkyrie, because if you do hit a blodger with her, you've got wrestle. And so you got 2 results that can put somebody on the ground. Plus the Valkyrie has strip ball built in. So the Valkyrie's a really good blitz piece. And the thing about sevens, there's not enough coverage on the table where a lot of times you can get hits on the ball carrier just because of how the match plays out.
Okay.
You've got since you've only got 6 turns in each half, a lot of times you have that initial setup where somebody might be able to cage, screen, whatever it might be. And then after that turn, it is like hits on the ball carrier every single turn, just because everybody's bogged down and the turnovers start flying fast and furious. So
yeah, I guess I could recap my tournament from there. So the first round I played against Korn, and it was like a blood spawn, 2 seekers, and a Korn gore. So lots of strength 5, strength 4 pieces, not really where I want to be.
No.
And he had the Korn gore, I think it was like sure hands, 2 heads.
Okay.
I think. So I was like, this is like good at getting out. But yeah, this was like the matchup where my tackle did nothing because he had no dodge anywhere. And he had like a random mighty blow on a lineman. And yeah, this game I think was a scenario where it's just like I couldn't get a lot of knockdowns, and all of his hits -1 were like successful.
Yeah,
like they were like all knockdowns. There was he threw one die in the second half that was the skull, and that was the only block he threw that was an actual turnover, and might have been one of like 2 or 3 blocks that did not knock a player over.
Yeah.
So that was a scenario where it's like I was trying to set up for
no rerolls in the list.
I don't think
he had the blood spawn in the list.
Yeah, he might have had one.
So the blood spawn and the blood seekers are like that's
very expensive.
Yeah, that's like 380 right there. So you only have like 300 to work with, and so you still have to have. And the Korn gore's another 70, so that's 450, and so that leaves you. So I don't think he had enough. No, he didn't have enough for a reroll. So
that was the thing where it's like you have so much frenzy. Like there's like things where it's like if something could have failed, it would have been very helpful. But it just like didn't happen.
Yeah. It never failed a 1 to 9, and
So so he was able to just like get a bunch of blocks and then steal the ball and score the first half, and then the second half after that I was trying to like be like a pretty aggressive run down the field.
Yeah,
and then
to win the game, you have to basically take the ball in a couple of turns, score, and then do it again. Yeah, which is really hard in sevens.
Yeah, and I was trying to kind of like the first kickoff I was like pretty conservative, and then from there I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to be aggressive and like try to get past you, and it's just Didn't work. Stuff got knocked down. I think the human blitzer got casualtied.
Yeah.
Which hurt just because
he's the fastest.
He's fast, and he was the one that could if I had my leader, so I could dodge if I needed to dodge away from something to go hit the corn gore. That was my piece that could, without having to get lonered. So, but it just never really happened. Yeah, so that was, I think it was 2-0 for the first round. My second round I played against Ogres, once again getting outstrength. And this was another one. I think there was the first half he might have had he had maybe a few boneheads, maybe 2. He boneheaded early and then didn't bonehead a lot in a row.
Yeah, down the stretch.
Which is I think the thing. It's if you bonehead a bunch at one point and then the rest of your boneheads are none of them ever happen for the rest of the half, that's so much worse for you. It's so much better for the player who has to play with bonehead, because the thing is getting complete turns consistently is where you get it. And I think in the second half, I think he failed one. And it was just getting outstrengths. I couldn't get good hits on anything. And he was just able to kind of run through. And just hit a bunch of people. So that was the second round. I think that one was also a 2-0. And then my last round I played Warren, and then all the luck that my previous two opponents had been siphoned off of Warren, apparently, because his dice were not very good. He was playing Black Orcs, and that's another strength mismatch. Black Orcs, a lot of 4 strength. I just couldn't avoid it. I think if I known I was going to be playing that, I would have played just a more dodgy team and just tried to stay away from things and okay, I'm just not getting hits today.
That's where if you're playing Amazons, you're in great shape because your opponents don't have the skills to actually do anything to you, and you can just reposition every turn and then they just never score.
So Warren, he went over to go pick up the ball. He moved a couple Black Horse, went to go pick up the ball, failed to pick up the ball. I'm okay, well then, so I went in and tried to get a hit on it, and then couldn't get a hit. The ball bounced somewhere around him. His second turn, his first activation goes to pick up the ball, fails to pick up the ball. So I get 2 turns basically in quick succession to kind of get around and start knocking some people around. And this one was a 1-0 win, but it's just Warren's dice are really bad. He had, I think, 2 or 3 double skulls and a 1 die skull in the game. And that's just gonna end you pretty quickly. And I had healed most of the goblins.
In my experience, 1 double skulls is enough to blow a whole game of 7s. I can't imagine rolling 2. So
So, but Warren, since he was organizer, and very grateful for him organizing all these events, it's always super fun.
And it was fast too, right? So,
it was really fast. It's a fun, fast day. But since I had 2 losses and then played Warren, I was the spoon recipient. So I'm going to put that next to my plates from Palmetto Cup, and eventually I'll have a whole table set.
Kitchenette.
So but
so all of my games were 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
My first game was against Sean, and his luck counterbalanced your game because he rolled terribly in mine, if that makes sense. I think he had a double bonehead turn 2, and I had kicked to him, and so I think if you're playing against a slower team, I think you're better off kicking in 7s. The ogres have to do a double go for it if they want to blitz your line guy, right? So I think you're totally fine to just let the other player go if they can't blitz you on the line. You're more than happy to just kick the ball to them and then play for position in the center field. And so I think he had 1 ogre who boneheaded 3 turns in a row, and I think that's the type of boneheading that the ogres hate is if one of their players is just out of the drive, right? Just completely out of contention at that point. Yeah. Now we didn't get any casualties in the game. I think I had like one. It was either a foul or a failed dodge or something where my guy exploded. Like I think I only had one lost player, but the big thing about it is that I have one extra player. So even if I lose someone, I've got the extra body that I can use. And his blocks were terrible. And I think I like took out all the Noblars, just like murdered them. Now I didn't get casualties from it, so I think I KO'd him, and I think it just didn't come back in. Which, you know, what's the difference on a philosophical level if that's what's happening?
Yeah.
And so I managed to keep him from scoring. The thing is like the Valkyrie is really good in that type of matchup because she can dauntless and she's got strip ball, and he didn't have sure hands, and so I could set up something where I can like knock an ogre or at least take the ball out of the ogre's hand. And he's having to roll 4-ups if he wants the ogre to have a ball to make the ball a little bit more secure. And so he I scored in the second half. I keep him out of the end zone. I don't quite score. I failed several rolls to score in the first half. And then in the second half, there was like a little bit of a scramble, but I managed to recover the ball and score. And then I just keep him out of the end zone because I think there were no Noblars on the pitch. So he had to go for, I mean, maybe he had one, and so like his only way to win is to like throw or kick teammate or something. But yeah, I forget the exact because it was like such a blur because like the round ended and we were on to the next round, so I didn't have like a chance to really reflect on what happened there. But the pretty terrible rolls overall on the ogre team, and it's like one of the worst teams in Blood Bowl if you roll like that. And if you don't roll like that, then it's like one of the best teams in Blood Bowl. Right. So, round 2, I played against Warren, and he had some guard, which was like a little bit of a trouble for me. And this game was like pretty brutal. Like we were both losing pieces pretty fast. Like he threw a foul and killed a guy, but boxcard and got caught, and so his sneaky get or whatever was thrown out of the game. And then like the next turn, I splatter a goblin, and it was very similar in that Warren was down to like his big bruiser pieces, but didn't have anybody to actually move the ball. And so that was another game where kept him out of the end zone in the first half, score in the second half, doesn't really have anything that he can score with to answer back, and I win the game 1-0. And then the third match I played against Chase, which was a really interesting game, and one where my ability to score was not matched by my ability for carnage, because I took out a lot of elves in the game, but anytime I wanted to actually like put the ball in the end zone, I would fail like a 3-up through a reroll to score. He actually started the game with an onside kick. The ball just scatters like 2 spaces away from the line of scrimmage, and he rolls blitz, and so he has 2 people underneath the ball to start my drive, and so I managed to pop the ball loose, and I actually managed to keep the elves from scoring despite them starting the drive with the ball, and I had a crazy sequence of 1-die blocks to get me back into the drive. Based off of the jump up of the berserkers. I think I like took 2 elves off the pitch from just jump up 1-die blocks into people, and that pried the ball loose. I also had disaster early where I made a dodge with the Valkyrie and she died. She just fell over, armor break, died. She's out of the game. So my best player is out, and I had multiple chances to just pick up the ball and walk into the end zone and win, or at the very least score there, and failed them all. But fortunately, Chase didn't score. We go into the second half. I have to kick to him, I think I made one. I think I was off position by 1 square. I had crowd surfed his thrower and killed it, took it out of the game. So he didn't have a reroll. And I think he used his reroll turn 1 on a blitz or something. And so he had no rerolls. And he manages to score on the next turn. So I've got like 4 turns or something like that to try to score. And I get so busy fighting elves that I can't get anybody into scoring position. Because the damn Elven Union blitzers were blodgers with sidestep. And I kept putting them on the ground, but I could never break the blitzer armor. The armor 8 elves were wheat before my scythe, but the stupid blitzers were untouchable. And then I was down players, so I couldn't really I was down the Valkyrie, so I couldn't really justify throwing a foul on one of them when they were on the ground. And so I just got bogged down in the center, and so I had to try to make some plays towards the end there, and just couldn't quite score. So Chase ended up winning that game 1-0, and we were top table at that point, so he went on to win the tournament. So this is the podcast where we do nothing but glaze Chase. So.
Oh, God. We're going to have to change the name for this one again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, I want to thank everyone that came out for that.
Yeah, I do think if you're a new player and you're listening to this podcast and you want to get some reps, I think you would learn a lot from sevens. Mm-hmm. You will understand stakes during a turn a lot better. You'll get better at turn management, just because you start with the stuff that's easiest and work your way towards the other. And the game is fast, so you can get 3 sevens games in the span of a time where you might play a single 11s game. So it's a good way to learn the fundamentals. Highly recommend. Warren is he's already talking about the next one. He's already talking about letting secret league teams in on the next one, which I'm all about. Hopefully the new edition will drop before then, so we'll have some interesting rules changes to go with. But yeah, I mean, the next time the sevens tournament happens, I highly recommend jumping in it if you're one of the new players. Yeah. You'll get a ton of great experience.
Yeah, it's super fun. So
yeah.
Well, we're gonna take a quick break here and then come back and talk about the game.
The big game.
I hope you enjoyed that app for the Honey browser, or whatever it is that they're advertising on podcasts these days. But we're here to talk about the great game of Season 9. Everything is built up to this.
Yeah, the Blood Bowl, the Empire Cup Bowl, whatever we call it.
Yeah. The game.
The game.
We're stealing it from Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, screw them.
Yep.
We're beefing with Michigan. We're beefing with Ohio State. That's right. I'm disrespecting them. I'm dropping the.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Punch me? I'm not a random Clemson player running to the sideline.
40-year-old burn.
All right, so we got a game. We got dwarves. We got nurglings, snotlings, whatever you want to call them. I mean, we go a bunch of different ways with this, but I guess a baseline before we get into predictions or anything like that. What do you think the game plans for each of these players needs to be in this game?
All right. So I think whoever receives the ball is in great shape because they will get to dictate the slaughter of the other person, right? Now, Chase's game plan with the Snotlings has basically been immutable at this point. It is take Morg plus a giant plus whatever else you can afford, and then spend the whole first half beating on the opponent. And Chase's games where he doesn't win the dice roll are a little bit different. Now, Jurgen's got money to play with. And so, if I'm Jurgen, I don't actually know what he's thinking. I don't hate taking a rookie death roller for this game, right? You have to just assume Chase is going to have whatever money to do what he wants, and you can't stop that. All you can do is just put the best possible team on the pitch. Now, Jurgen happens to have 335 in the treasury. So not enough to overdog Morg. Because if he had enough, that would be my game plan. You just walk into it at 380. Pray you don't roll badly on the stupid mayor incidents, and then just take Morg and then dare Chase to win the game without Morg at his disposal. That's not an option here. You could overdog Deeproot, could overdog Cindy, right? If you don't roll badly on the spiraling expenses, you might be able to take both of them, and then I think you come into the game with just as much firepower as the Snotlings, right? Now, if you roll spiraling expenses, that's where you have to kind of go down a decision tree and figure out what you're going to take instead. Yeah. I don't think you can come into the game with less than 16 players. He's sitting at 14 from when we played, and I didn't do any damage to his team. Now, that wasn't by design. Trust me, I wanted the Corn team to go out with a bunch of extra casualties, but this stupid dwarf team took no damage when I played against it. I would just tell you're going to do exactly that, take no damage again. You're probably in great shape. But I think Chase is going to be a little bit luckier on the damage front than me. So.
Yeah, so I guess things that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the treasury, right? 335. So if you're above 300,000, there's a chance that you lose half of that.
Yeah.
Right. So is there an incentive to dip below that? Because, like, obviously, I think if you were at 380, it's like if you don't hit anything, you get more, which is great. If you lose half of it, you're still at 190. So you could do some of the other plans if you needed to take something else. But it's like if you were going in at 335 and you lose half of that, all of a sudden you
only lose half of it on a 1.
Yeah.
And so I think you just take your treasury and you just walk into it with as much as you have, right? You've got like the math is a little bit. It's not straightforward, right? You only lose half if you roll a 1. If you roll a 1 and you dip below if you go to 295 and you roll a 1, then there's a chance that you couldn't take Deeproot anyway, right?
Yeah.
If you're planning on trying to figure out what happens if you roll a 1, then if you roll a 1, there's a very solid chance that you don't get to take Deeproot. Then I think you want Deeproot because Deeproot is something that can go toe-to-toe with the giant, and you have a 7 strength, stand firm, 11 armor piece, and then the dwarves come in with like 900 guard, and then you just push around the trolls, the giant Morg, right? I think you want Deeproot for this match, but if you roll a 1, you're just not going to get him, most likely, right? I think if you roll a 2 or 3, you lose some amount of money, but you still have some extra money that you can use. I think you do not care about the the ref. I actually think you don't care about the ref because Chase is going to foul regardless. And if you take the ref, Chase gets a ref in return, and then he can argue on a 5 or a 6, right? Chase could even take Fink the Fixer, and you argue to keep your people in the game on a 4 or better. Fink the Fixer is like a crazy piece. I had to play against this. This is funny because this is like a We Warriors thing from last year. That's what I had to play against. I had to play against the biased ref, the neutral biased ref plus Fink the Fixer. Think the Fixa makes it so that you, I think the way he's worded is that he makes it so that you stay in the game on a 5 or better, and then the bias ref gives you a +1 to the roll. It's one way or the other. Yeah, Think the Fixer. You got it, boss. Once per game, your team uses a bribe, you may re-roll the d6 to see if the bribe is effective. And it costs 90k, right? When rolling on the argue the call table, a coach who has hired Fink treats a roll of 5 or 6 as well when you put it like that, and a roll of 2 to the 4 as I don't care. If Fink gets sent off, if your coach gets sent off, then Fink gets set off as well. But the way biased ref reads is when arguing on the when rolling on the argue the call table, you may apply a +1 modifier. So that means you can't end up with a 1 on the roll of the table. You always end up with a 2. So Fink can never be kicked out. And you get a +1 on the roll. So that means you argue to keep your players in on a 4 or better. So half the time that your players get caught. So you just cannot bank. You're going to have a pile of bribes because of the inducement money. And if you want, you've got the bias ref plus Fink the Fixer. So your guys just aren't going to get ejected at the rate that you think they should. So I think the ref is not the call. I think outstrengthening is the call. I think you go with a deep root plan or a death roller. The problem with the death roller is it gets kicked out if somebody scores. But I also think you want Cindy in this matchup because bombs are very good against snotlings, right? The snotlings are throwing bombs at 10 armored dwarves, whereas the dwarves are throwing bombs at 6 armor snotlings. It not to mention that it gets to knock down giants and trolls or Morg or Varag, whoever's in the way. The bomb has it's basically an extra blitz every turn that you can use to knock down stuff. And the thing is if you're stacking up, if all of the strong pieces in the snotlings are all tied up fighting dwarves that aren't the 5 strength runner, then the 5 strength runner at 8 speed just gets to go wherever he wants in the pitch. And I actually think the 5 strength runner is a problem for Morg because it is also a blodger. And Morg will need 5 assists to get to 3 dice on him. And so the 5 strength runner is like just untouchable as long as the rest of the dwarves are in the way.
Also conveniently, 8 speed is the exact amount of squares that Borg could move
with 2 go pushes.
So
yeah. So I think I think on paper I love Jurgen's chances in this game, and so I'm not trying to curse him or anything like that. If anything, I curse Chase. But if the snotlings get the ball first, and you've got a chance to take a bunch of dwarves off the pitch, then I don't love what happens to Jurgen's chances at that point. Now, I think you've got enough skills. I think you've got enough guard. I think you've got enough armor. Like all the traditional snotling stuff works much, much, much better against non-block, non-tackle, non-10 armor, non-thick skull targets. And so, it's up. I'm interested to see what Jurgen's inducement plan is. He always comes up with something pretty interesting. But I think as far as like on the field goes, you take one of those high strength snotling players off the pitch, and then the slaughter is on, right? If you take out the giant, I think the positioning gets so much easier for the dwarves because you're not having to play around this huge roadblock. And the trolls, I think, are actually like they're pretty close to irrelevant with the giant off the pitch, because I think with all the guard that you have, you can easily get to the point where you can throw 2 dice on the trolls. And if the trolls are getting knocked down and they have to stand up, and they get knocked down and they have to stand up, like they're basically out of the game at that point.
Yeah.
And
the point there too is like, trolls really stupid.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it's like if you want to state it up, like if you need to bring someone over, then that is just fodder for like you got a bunch of assists over there. You have to bring a Snotling to the one open square, and then that Snotling gets murdered.
Right.
And
the whole dwarf team, it's open season and Snotlings.
Yeah.
Right. All that tackle, all that block. Whereas Sean's undead, like if you're throwing 3 dice with a zombie, you have the 50-50 shot at hitting the pal. Whereas the dwarves, 3 dicing Snotlings, you're in like the 70% or more territory to knock the Snotling down. It might even be like 90%. I'd have to go back and check the math on it again, but like you were heavily favored to put the Snotlings on the ground if they're based with dwarves. And Chase runs no rerolls, so if you're dodging away from dodging away from the dwarves with Snotlings, you don't get the dodge reroll, and any of those failed dodges ends the turn.
Right.
I think Chase's team is constructed in such a way where if it's not activating 14 players, then like the wheels start falling off, and the whole thing comes undone. So
as someone who has played this matchup a couple times, like I felt very solid with just like the door. Like doors are like resilient enough. Tackle is ridiculous. Like the dwarf alignment is just like it is
the apex predator.
It is Morg to Snotlings.
Yes,
you're playing with 11 Morgs on the field against your opponent.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how you have to look at it. So
I'm not writing Chase off.
Yeah, that's the thing is like there are pieces I think like
he gets to customize his inducement plan for it.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything, Chase wants his name on the plaque so that he can trash talk people about it, right? I think that's the most important part of this for him is winning it to trash talk people.
Yeah, he is gloat lusted right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I think looking at it, I think the thing I am interested in, I think the wild card in the situation could be the fungus flinger.
Yeah.
Just being able to like that is one thing you don't really like to have bombs thrown at a bunch of doors, especially if you're planning on doing guard. All of a sudden something gets peeled, and then like that. I think if Jurgen can avoid bomb disasters, then he will be in a solid spot. But we could see. I know in the past, Chase's favorite sort of I call it like the Rumble package. It's like Morg and Varag.
Yeah.
I think that like a dwarf game. So
yeah, I think if you take one of the gutter runners into this, the gutter runner is mincemeat. The gutter runner is the easiest thing to take off the pitch.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jurgen doesn't have strip balls, so the ball in Varag's hands or the ball in Morg's hands is not easy to take down. Now, with the 5 strength runner, you do have somebody who can get 2 dice on a Morg or a Varag with very little effort. So there's a world where the game takes place in like the center part of the pitch. Like we've got the whole field, but we really only need, I don't know, like 40 squares in the center of the pitch.
Yeah, they could be playing sevens on a sevens pitch and be fine.
Yeah. And you don't really need more of the field than that because that's where all of the action is happening. If that's the case, then I think Jurgen is probably favored, just because it's who's still standing after all that punching back and forth, and I just think that the dwarves are going to be favored there, because like even the trolls don't have thick skull, right? So it really depends on what happens with the I think the early injuries, because I think it's a cascade failure one way or the other, right? I think the dwarves have like a little bit of extra reserves where, you lose one dwarf, you're fine. You lose 2 dwarves, it's gonna suck. You lose 3 dwarves, you're in trouble. Whereas you lose 1 troll, you're immediately in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. This is gonna be fun. We don't have a official time on when this is happening.
Yeah.
Just some speculation.
Right. So keep an eye on the Discord. Our plan is to stream it.
Yeah. With
And
commentary?
we'll probably do commentary again.
Oh boy, that'll be fun.
I think because that was fun last time.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get like the John Madden screen drawing thing on there. I think that would be the next level.
Yeah,
of
that
fun.
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for the, as you said, penultimate episode of this. We'll see. Maybe we'll have a winner to talk to next week, depending on availability. Be cool. But yeah, appreciate y'all listening to this as we're wrapping up this season and jumping into more. But you know, if you are enjoying this show, enjoying what we're saying, or we're just enjoying the sound of our voices, whatever it is, you can make sure to follow, like, subscribe, review, whatever it is on whatever platform you're listening to. We appreciate all of it. And yeah, I will see y'all next time.
All right, we're out here.